We'll repeat together Om Namo Narayanaya, mantra for world peace. Om Namo Narayanaya, 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 Om, Om, Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Om Bolo Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Bolo Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. Good morning. This morning we'll do a short reading from the book Bliss Divine by Swami Sivananda. This is a collection of articles on different topics, and they go by alphabetical order. So we're going to read from the article on yoga. Swami Sivananda says, to live in God, to commune with God is yoga. Life in God brings eternal bliss. So he gives us a very beautiful definition of the word yoga. He says it means to live in God or to commune with God. So most people here know that yoga is not just a physical exercise and not just all kinds of exercises, but it's really, it comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to bind or to unite. And the idea is that yoga is union between the individual soul and God, the Supreme Being. And so it is the goal of all of our spiritual practice. It's not just the goal, it's also the path. So both the word yoga means both the path and the goal. And the goal is very sublime. It's to be what you are, to unite with your source. And that source we call God, or the self, or the Supreme Being, or consciousness. There are many words, the Atman. But yoga unites you with that. However you want to call it, you become one with that. And this state of union is called yoga. And here he says, this is a state of eternal bliss. So why we want to make all this effort, wake up early, do sadhana, live a life of austerity, do all the practices, because the end result is eternal bliss, what we call ananda. And Swami Sivananda says, yoga shows you the way. Yoga unites you with God. Yoga makes you immortal. So, like we said, it's not just the actual state of union with God, it's also the method, the practice, the sadhana. And Swami Vishnu Devananda had the famous saying, health is wealth, peace of mind is happiness, and yoga shows the way. Right? When he came to the West, he realized that people are really yearning for health, because that was it still is a primary concern for many people. We're dealing with many health issues, and peace of mind. And he says yoga shows you the way to both. First, it heals us. It brings healing to our body, to our energy layer, to our heart, to our mind, to our spirit. It brings good healing. And also, it brings us peace of mind. which we're also yearning. And that peace of mind is also, it's not the end result, but peace of mind is the prerequisite for meditation and samadhi and eventually to that state of union with God. And he says it's going to make you immortal. What does it mean? Of course, this physical body one day will be no more, but yoga will teach you that you are not the body. And in this sense, it's going to make you immortal. Already we are immortal, but we don't know it because of this false identification with what we are not. We falsely identify with the body. The body is mortal, it's finite, but not you, not the self, not the true self. So Swami Vishnu Devananda, one time he told his disciples that at a certain point in his life, the fear of death was gone, vanished. There was no more fear of death. This what we call abhinivesha, which is a major source of suffering. It's one of the 5 causes of suffering, abhinivesha, the fear of death, which is always kind of lurking somewhere in the mind. But through yoga sadhana and meditation and samadhi and God realization, self-realization, the yogi realizes that this body is like a shirt that we're wearing, but the real soul, what you are, is immortal. And once that knowledge, that recognition dawned on him, fear of death was gone. And we know very well about his life story, how he was fearless. He did so many courageous peace missions and things like that. He was basically fearless. And people who met him and knew him, like our Acharya Swami Swarupananda, they say it many times that one very clear thing about him was fearlessness. And fearlessness is also a prerequisite for meditation. Krishna mentioned this in chapter 6 in the Bhagavad Gita, which is all about meditation. He says, there is a verse, before he started to describe the technique of meditation, how to sit, how to breathe, how to concentrate the mind, he gives a list of qualities that a yogi needs to acquire. And the first among them is fearlessness. The yogi needs to be fearless because meditation, during meditation, things come up. And this quality of fearlessness is required for the yogi to sustain the meditation, to keep going, not to give up, not to stop. And fear, to overcome fear, we need to cultivate courage. And there are many ways how to do it. There are many meditations and positive thinking techniques. But the ultimate fearlessness comes from realization of the non-dual nature of the reality. Because as long as there is duality, there will be fear. And the ultimate highest fearlessness is from recognizing the non-dual nature of reality and of the self. That there is only one. There is no other. And yoga shows you the way. That's what he says. Then he says, yoga is complete life. It is a method which overhauls all the sides of the human personality. So what are all the sides of the human personality? Because he says yoga takes care of all of them. So first we have a physical body, or at least we identify with this physical body. This is one aspect. Then we have an energy body that most people here know about because you do daily asana, pranayama, meditate. You start to feel that energy body, what we call the pranamaya kosha, the pranic layer. that is not physical, but is still an essential, is very essential. It's what is making us alive. The prana is responsible for all of our physiological functions. The prana is our vitality. The prana flows in nadis, in energy channels. And in the yoga practice, we learn how to keep those channels not blocked and not like releasing all the knots and all the blockages, right? So this is another layer. And then we have the emotional layer, and we have the mental layer, and we have the intellectual layer. So he says yoga takes care of all of these aspects. Yoga is teaching us how to keep the body healthy by daily asana and the proper diet, the yogic pure diet, and all the kriyas, the cleansing exercises. Yoga is teaching us how to keep the energy body healthy and pure and in balance with all the pranayama exercises. The yoga is teaching us how to deal with our emotions. We have a whole yoga method called Bhakti Yoga, which is primarily working on the emotions and converting them into pure emotions like love and eventually divine love. And then the yoga is teaching us how to handle this mind. We have a whole science called Raja Yoga and a whole scripture, the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that is primarily about this mind and how to purify it and how to control it and eventually how to concentrate and meditate and attain the highest state called samadhi. And then we have the intellect, the buddhi, the higher mind. And the path of jnana yoga is primarily purifying the intellect through study of the scriptures and sitting at the feet of the guru and learning the Vedanta scriptures and contemplating the knowledge and assimilating that knowledge. So when he says that yoga takes care of all the human personality and that it's a complete system, complete life, and a method which overhauls all the sides of the human personality, he means that through these various yogas that we just mentioned, first we heal all of these layers, then we purify them, we clean them from all the impurities, and eventually the interesting part is that ultimately we have to transcend them. We have to transcend the identification with the physical body, with the energy body, with the emotion, with the mind, even with the intellect. Eventually, we have to learn through the highest yoga, the yoga of knowledge, that we are none of these layers. And what we are is through negation. We negate all of these layers, and we reach the real self, the source, that is none of these things, but is the witness of all of these things. And it's that unchanging, eternal, pure, subtle consciousness. And that consciousness that you are is not even an individual, is not local, is everywhere and everything, and it's the ultimate reality. So this is how yoga operates. And then he says, yoga is a system of integral education not only of the body and the mind or the intellect, but also of the inner spirit. So it's interesting that he's referring to yoga as education. And I think many people here are doing the yoga teacher training course or done the yoga teacher training course. So when we want to help other people, because we all have this tendency, this inclination to serve, to help, to alleviate suffering, there are many ways how to do it. we give food to the hungry people, and we feed, we take care, we give charity, we help in many ways. But the thing is that when we give people something like that, the next day they need again. So the best way how we can really help people is by teaching, by education, by giving them the knowledge. And first of all, the basic knowledge that they need how to sustain themselves and live a happy life. But ultimately, real happiness in life only comes from the spiritual journey, from the spiritual path. And so the best gift that we can give to people is spiritual education. And that is yoga. This is the mission of Swami Vishnu Devananda, why he started so many centers and ashrams and conducted so many teacher training courses, is for that, is for to help people to find the root cause of our suffering and then the remedy for our suffering. And this is the education that he's mentioning here. And it's an integral education, because it's not just how to do physical postures or breathing, etc. It's everything. Is how to chant, how to perform devotional practices. Like the other day, we had a big puja ritual that was very powerful. Unfortunately, I came just the day after. But how to do devotional practices, how to study the scriptures, how to meditate, how to serve, how to work on all of our layers. And so he says it's not just of the body and the mind, not even the intellect, but also the inner spirit. The inner spirit, that is the self. So yoga shows you the marvelous method of rising from badness to goodness, and from goodness to godliness, and then to eternal divine splendor. So the journey has steps. First, he says from badness to goodness, which means we have to overcome the... He says we have a beastly nature. We have a lower nature that we all know about, which manifest as anger, jealousy, hatred, greed, lust, all our negative emotions, all our negative thoughts. We have to overcome and control them and convert them to positive emotions. So that's from badness to goodness. There are many methods, positive thinking techniques, the pratipaksha bhavana, the think the opposite technique, cultivation of virtues, eradication of vices. So yoga deals with all of these things. Yoga teaches the yamas and yamas, the restraints and observances that are mentioned in the Yoga Sutra. All of these practices are meant to rise from badness to goodness. This is the first step. Then from goodness to godliness. So all these qualities that we mentioned, we overcome anger, hatred, jealousy, etc., and we cultivate kindness and compassion and mercy and courage and joy and all the good qualities. But the highest emotion, you can say, is Parama Prema, supreme love, divine love. And this is the culmination of this path of overcoming the lower nature, going into the higher nature, and then to the highest, which is this prem, this love of all, love of God, and union with God. And then he says, and from godliness to eternal divine splendor. And that is the highest attainment, which we call self-realization and moksha, spiritual liberation. That's eternal divine splendor, because through this journey, ultimately, we annihilate all ignorance, all duality, and we become one with that non-dual consciousness that we are. That's the eternal divine splendor. So these are the steps in the journey. And we'll stop here and continue tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om Balo Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Balo Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj Ki Jai.